The shocking transformation that got everyone talking. When Zac Efron's face reappeared in a short Earth Day promo alongside Bill Nye, fans didn't focus on climate change. Instead, the internet spiraled into chaos. His jaw looked larger, his features puffed. Was it just a weird angle, a filter, or something much more permanent? Social media lit up like a wildfire. Within hours, hashtags like Zac Efron surgery and handsome Squidward were trending. Memes exploded, and speculation ran wild. Had the heartthrob of a generation gone under the knife? Did Hollywood finally push him to fix a face millions already considered perfect? But what no one saw coming was the real reason behind his transformation. Because as the internet was debating surgery and steroids, Zac Efron was dealing with something far more painful. Physically and emotionally, behind that new jawline was a story of trauma, pressure, and a shocking accident that almost shattered more than just his bones. And what makes this story even more gripping is the silence. For months, Zac said nothing. Not a single post. Not a single interview. That silence only added fuel to the fire and made the eventual truth even more shocking. So what really happened to Zac Efron's face? Was it surgery? Was it the result of Hollywood pressure? Or was it something he didn't want anyone to know? Let's rewind to where it all began. Before the gossip, before the memes, back when Zac Efron was simply known as the golden boy of Disney. Long before the plastic surgery whispers and viral side-by-side comparisons, Zac Efron was America's clean-cut crush. It all started in 2006, when he starred as Troy Bolton in High School Musical, a role that catapulted him from small TV parts to instant international fame. At just 18, he had the look, swoopy hair, piercing blue eyes, and a smile that seemed engineered in a Disney lab. He was the kind of heartthrob parents trusted and teenagers plastered across bedroom walls. But it wasn't just his face that won over fans. It was the vibe. Zac played the reluctant jock with a sensitive soul. A guy who could sing, dance, and dribble a basketball in perfect sync. Suddenly he was everywhere. Red carpets, teen magazine covers, TRL appearances, and even getting name-dropped in pop songs. He was the teen idol of the late 2000s. During this era, his look was natural, unmodified, and familiar. He didn't have a chiseled jaw or bulging biceps. He had a lean, almost delicate frame, fitting for his clean-cut image. There were no rumors about plastic surgery or fitness extremes, just a guy riding the wave of sudden stardom. But behind the curtain, Zac was already feeling the weight of fame. Interviews from that time hint at early discomfort with the spotlight and the growing pressure to maintain a polished image. That pressure would only intensify as he transitioned from teenage heartthrob to adult actor. And it would start to show. Because Disney may have made Zac Efron a star, but it was Hollywood's next chapter that would begin reshaping his image. And eventually, his face. By 2017, Zac Efron had officially shed his Disney past. No longer the teen musical heartthrob, he had rebranded as a Hollywood leading man, and his transformation wasn't just professional, it was physical. When Baywatch hit theaters, audiences were stunned. Zac's body had gone from lean to shredded, and his jawline looked sharper than ever. For many, this was the moment they realized something had changed. To prepare for his role alongside Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Zac took his fitness to an extreme. He followed a brutal training regimen, workouts multiple times a day, clean eating without breaks, and constant monitoring of his body fat percentage. In interviews, he described living off lean proteins, vegetables, and gallons of water. Cheat days? Non-existent. His body became the star of the film, arguably more talked about than the script itself. But this level of commitment came with consequences. Zac later admitted that achieving the Baywatch look pushed him to the edge. He suffered from insomnia and anxiety. His body was functioning in overdrive, and his mental health began to decline. He told Men's Health that he didn't think the look was realistic or sustainable, even though the industry praised him for it. More than that, fans began noticing that his face looked subtly different during this period. His jaw appeared more angular. His cheeks were tighter. Some thought it was just a result of the intense diet and fat loss. Others speculated that something else, something cosmetic, was at play. Still, Zac hadn't addressed anything publicly. Baywatch marked a turning point. While it proved he could break free from his squeaky clean Disney image, it also marked the beginning of intense scrutiny over his appearance. It wasn't just about abs anymore, it was about everything. And then came the video that truly broke the internet. On April 22, 2021, Zac Efron appeared in a short clip for an Earth Day special with Bill Nye the Science Guy. It was meant to be a lighthearted educational segment, nothing controversial. But the second his face hit the screen, everything changed. The internet erupted. His face looked completely different. The square jaw, the puffier cheeks, a more exaggerated chin. Some fans barely recognized him. Others were convinced it was just a weird angle or bad lighting. But that didn't stop the memes. Social media ran wild and the comparisons were brutal. "He looks like handsome Squidward," one viral tweet read, referencing the exaggerated cartoon jawline from SpongeBob SquarePants. The meme spread like wildfire, and soon number Zac Efron and number plastic surgery were trending worldwide. YouTube videos, TikTok breakdowns, and tabloid headlines all asked the same question: what happened to Zac Efron's face? Rumors ranged from jaw implants to chin filler to buccal fat removal. Others accused him of going overboard with steroids or HGH, pointing to the sudden fullness in his face as a red flag. Plastic surgeons online began offering their 2 cents, even though none had ever treated him. These expert opinions only added to the speculation. The problem? Zac said nothing. For months, he didn't post on social media or respond to interviews. That silence fueled even more theories. Fans speculated that he was hiding from the backlash or recovering from botched surgery. Some even claimed it was a deepfake or photoshopped appearance. The once beloved star was now a trending controversy, and the media circus showed no signs of slowing down. But while everyone was busy dissecting angles and filters, the real explanation hadn't come out yet. And when it finally did, it shocked even his harshest critics. What Zac revealed would silence the rumors, at least for a while. As days turned into weeks after Zac's viral Earth Day video, the noise didn't die down. It got louder. Social media became an echo chamber of conspiracy theories. Everywhere you looked, people were analyzing screenshots, zooming in on jaw lines, and sharing before and after comparisons with red circles and arrows. Plastic surgeons on YouTube and TikTok offered speculative diagnoses. Some said he'd likely had dermal fillers to enhance his chin and jaw. Others insisted he'd undergone a full jaw augmentation with implants. Buccal fat removal became a trending search term overnight as people tried to identify exactly what could have altered his facial structure so drastically. Tabloid magazines ran headlines like "Zac's New Face," "Hollywood's Latest Makeover Gone Wrong," and "Botched or Buffed," fueling the fire even more. Some articles cited anonymous insiders, claiming Zac was deeply insecure about his appearance and had become obsessed with looking masculine. The narrative painted him as another celebrity who had succumbed to Hollywood's impossible beauty standards, and maybe even a few syringes. But fans were divided. One side felt betrayed, disappointed that Zac might have ruined his natural good looks. The other came to his defense, reminding the world that even heartthrobs are human. "Leave him alone," read a common comment. "You have no idea what he's going through." Others argued it was just a poor camera angle or water retention from bulking up for a role. After all, actors change drastically between projects. Why was Zac getting dragged? Still, no one could ignore the fact that this wasn't just minor aging or lighting, it was a dramatic shift. And all the while, Zac remained quiet. until more than a year later, when he finally sat down for a candid interview and dropped a truth bomb that no one was ready for. In September 2022, Zac Efron finally addressed the rumors in a raw, revealing interview with Men's Health. It was the first time he publicly spoke about what really happened to his face, and it wasn't plastic surgery. It was an accident, a brutal, freak accident. Zac explained that he had slipped in his home while running through his house in socks. He tripped, slammed his chin against a granite fountain, and lost consciousness. When he woke up, his jaw was broken, literally shattered. It had to be wired shut. Recovery was long and painful, but that wasn't even the strangest part. While healing, Zac said the muscles in his jaw, especially the masseter muscles, had to work overtime to compensate. He explained that these muscles, located at the back of the jaw and responsible for chewing, grew significantly larger as a result of the trauma and healing process. That's why his face looked so different. In his words, the masseters just grew. They just got really, really big. He also mentioned that he was working with a physical therapist to manage the imbalance, but at the time the Earth Day video went viral, he had paused therapy while traveling. The result? His jaw appeared more square and swollen than ever. At the exact moment cameras were rolling, that revelation changed everything. Suddenly, the internet's cruel memes and botched surgery accusations felt shallow and invasive. Fans felt a mix of guilt and empathy. The narrative began to shift from ridicule to understanding, and it raised a bigger question. Why did he feel the need to stay silent for so long? Zac later said he didn't even know the video had gone viral. He doesn't use social media much, and honestly, he just didn't think people would care that much. But they did care. And now, the truth was out. Even after Zac came forward and explained his jaw accident, some people still weren't convinced. The internet has a short attention span, but a long memory when it comes to gossip. As his more muscular appearance continued to show up in new roles, especially in upcoming films like The Iron Claw, another rumor started gaining traction. Performance-enhancing drugs. Comments popped up accusing him of juicing. Viewers noted his wider face, vascularity, and insane physique, speculating it was the result of HGH, human growth hormone, anabolic steroids, or testosterone therapy. Some even blamed his swollen jawline and water retention on classic steroid side effects, tying it back into the facial transformation drama. To skeptics, the jaw injury story sounded like a convenient cover-up. But here's the thing. Zac never confirmed or denied any use of performance enhancers. He remained quiet on that front. What he did say, though, was that the pressure to maintain an action hero body was unbearable. In his Men's Health interview, he revealed that the Baywatch look had come at a serious cost, not just mentally but physically. He barely slept, took powerful diuretics, and lived under an intense, punishing schedule just to keep his body in peak condition. "I started to develop insomnia, and I fell into a pretty bad depression," he said. "That look, I don't know if that's really attainable, without taking something." That one sentence raised eyebrows. It wasn't a confession, but it wasn't a denial either. Zac seemed to be acknowledging that the industry almost requires enhancement to meet its impossible standards. Whether he personally crossed that line remained unanswered, and maybe that was the point. Because at the center of this storm wasn't just a man with a different jawline, it was a celebrity trapped in a system that demanded perfection at any cost. And eventually, the public started to see that too. After the interview dropped, everything changed. What started as mockery, memes, plastic surgery accusations, and endless scrutiny turned into an apology tour of sorts. Social media users who had once joked about handsome Squidward were now revisiting their posts, realizing they'd made fun of a man recovering from a serious injury. TikTok creators who'd previously stitched Zac's Earth Day clip with exaggerated reactions started uploading new videos, acknowledging their mistake. One viral creator simply posted, "We owe Zac Efron an apology," And they weren't wrong. The collective tone online shifted from cruel to compassionate. People began sharing their own stories of facial trauma and jaw surgeries, expressing solidarity. Zac, once the golden boy mocked for changing his appearance, was now being embraced for his honesty and vulnerability. Celebrities spoke up too. Fellow actors and influencers defended Zac, pointing out how harsh the public can be about male body image. In an industry that often focuses on how women are scrutinized for aging or weight gain, Zac's experience reminded everyone that men face a similar, if quieter, pressure. The expectation to be ripped, square-jawed, and perpetually youthful isn't just exhausting, it can be dangerous. One notable comparison was drawn to Jeremy Renner's accident, where he nearly lost his life in a snowplow incident. Fans said the public was far more sympathetic to Renner, whereas Zac had initially become a punchline. It exposed a double standard. People tend to dismiss male trauma unless it's extremely dramatic or life-threatening. This wave of support helped reshape Zac's image yet again, not as a fallen star trying to fix his face, but as a survivor of a painful accident who had quietly pushed through the recovery process without complaint. And for the first time in years, the conversation wasn't about his face. It was about his resilience. Zac Efron's transformation didn't happen in a vacuum. Hollywood is a machine that constantly demands perfection, especially when it comes to physical appearance. Youth, symmetry, muscle, bone structure, it's all part of a brutal, unspoken checklist. And for male actors, especially those transitioning from teen idol to serious leading man, the pressure is immense. You're expected to look like a superhero without showing any sign of the cost. For Zac, that pressure began early. As a young Disney star, he was groomed to maintain a squeaky clean image. As he aged, the expectation shifted from cute and charming to rugged and ripped. And when Baywatch came around, that pressure reached its peak. The transformation he underwent for that film wasn't just cosmetic, it was a mental and emotional crucible. Zac admitted that the Baywatch body nearly broke him. He was working out constantly, barely sleeping, and taking diuretics just to maintain that impossibly lean look. "I don't ever want to have to do that again," he said in a 2022 interview. The experience left him questioning whether the roles were worth the toll on his health. But Hollywood didn't slow down, and neither did the expectations. If anything, fans and casting directors now expected that level of physique from him all the time. Any deviation sparked gossip. Any hint of puffiness led to rumors of fillers or steroid use. It wasn't just about talent anymore, it was about control over every inch of his appearance. Zac's jaw accident became a tipping point. It forced him to confront how deeply image had taken over his life. Not only was he recovering physically, but he was also dealing with the emotional fallout of being endlessly dissected by the media. The moment he stepped back from the spotlight, the world filled the silence with speculation. But now that the truth is out, it's clear. Zac Efron's story isn't just about a changing face. It's about the high cost of surviving Hollywood's obsession with perfection. Today, Zac Efron is no longer trying to meet anyone's expectations, but his own. He's still acting, still in great shape, but the vibe is different now. The pressure to be flawless, to chase after the Baywatch body or maintain a surgically precise jawline seems to have faded. Instead, Zac is leaning into a more natural, grounded version of himself, and fans are responding. In recent red carpet appearances and interviews, he looks healthy, relaxed, and comfortable in his skin. His face has settled, with less puffiness and a more balanced jaw, likely the result of muscle rehab and time. But what stands out more than any physical trait is his energy. There's a calmness, a maturity that wasn't always there before. Maybe it's the result of stepping away from public pressure, or maybe it's simply healing. Professionally, he's taken on roles that reflect his evolution. In The Greatest Beer Run Ever and The Iron Claw, he plays gritty, real characters, roles that focus more on depth than appearance. His performances have been praised for their emotional weight, and fans are starting to recognize something important. Zac Efron isn't just a pretty face. He never was. Even his social media presence has shifted. Instead of constant modeling shots or workout clips, he posts selectively, sharing moments of travel, nature, and behind-the-scenes work. He's talked more openly about mental health, body image, and how isolating fame can be. And that honesty has earned him something even more valuable than admiration: respect. It's taken years, an accident, and a lot of speculation. But Zac seems to have reached a point many celebrities never do. He's allowed himself to be human again. And in doing so, he's shown fans that true strength isn't in your jawline or abs. It's in owning your story, scars and all. Zac Efron's face may have sparked one of the internet's biggest celebrity speculation storms, but in the end, the real story had nothing to do with surgery, vanity, or fame gone wrong. It was about pain, healing, and the impossible pressures that come with living under a magnifying glass. Yes, his jaw looked different. Yes, his body went through radical changes, but behind every viral image was a man dealing with a private trauma, quietly recovering from a severe injury, and navigating a world that never gives celebrities the benefit of the doubt. He didn't lash out. He didn't call out the critics. He just kept moving forward until he was finally ready to speak. And when he did, it flipped the entire narrative on its head. What started as a punchline ended in a lesson, a reminder that even the most picture-perfect stars are human, that even the most confident smiles can hide 1,000 battles, and that sometimes we don't need to know the full story to offer compassion instead of critique. Zac's transformation was never about chasing perfection. It was about survival. Through it all, he showed us what resilience really looks like. Not just physical recovery, but emotional endurance. The kind that doesn't beg for sympathy or applause, but quietly refuses to be broken. So the next time the internet lights up over someone's appearance, maybe pause before reposting that meme or jumping into the comment section. Because behind every headline and filtered photo is a story we might not understand yet. Zac Efron didn't just change his face, he changed the conversation. And maybe that's the real glow-up.